The demonstration of the use case for healthcare highlights a number of different areas that I think are important for organizations today. You see a lot of the flexibility within SRK, security of the data, the ability to bring in data from many different sources, the ability to have real-time analysis, the ability to collaborate on that analysis throughout the organization, and do all of these things in a secure environment. Today, data security is a very, very important part of all industries. But in particular, in healthcare and insurance, there are a great deal of regulatory restrictions around how data is used, how it must be separated, and how it needs to be secure. Data is confidential, sensitive information that has to be segregated as well as controlled. So I think as a result of that, a lot of organizations have thought there is no way for them to take advantage of the latest cloud solutions, as we just showed SRK, because they don't have the ability to have that secure environment. Well, today what you're going to learn is that that's not the case, that there's no reason that an organization cannot take advantage of cloud solutions like SRK for doing business analysis and also have the security, confidentiality that they need in the information that they must secure for their clients. We know that data security and compliance in general has a number of different components to it. And if you look at compliance today, you'll see that there's kind of three key areas that are looked at in terms of measuring how compliant, how secure, how safe the information is and the applications are that you are running in your organization. There's the administrative side, the physical, and the technical. Administrative safeguards, very simply, are the plans, the processes that you have built in your organization to ensure that information is protected. So your risk management plans, the ability to ensure that you're not having malicious software integrating into these systems. The common password management, the ability to make sure those passwords are changing very, very quickly and very frequently. And then also contingency plans. So there are some administrative safeguards that need to be in place that are more manual, if you think of it that way, the manual part of the process. Then there's the actual physical safeguards. This is the location of where that information is, the physical devices and media that are controlling that information, the data backups, the storage, how secure are the workstations where people are actually accessing that information, basically the controls into the facility itself. So all of those physical safeguards are also another key part of compliance. And then thirdly, there are the technical safeguards. This is really around the authorization, the authentication, the access controls of who gets to see what information, when, and how. The audit controls, being able to know who has had access and what they have actually done. And then the data encryption. As information is being shared, which it must be in an organization, how do you protect that data as it moves throughout the organization as needed? So these three areas have very different aspects of compliance around them, but all three are critical in order to comply with the types of regulations that you face today. One of the solutions that organizations go to is they decide that in order to meet all three of those key areas of safeguards, the administrative, the physical, and the technical, that they need to bring everything in-house. They need to have an on-premise deployment where they can manage the entire application, the data, and the processes around that. And this is something that many, many organizations do. The challenge with it is that you have to have the ability to do all of those things and have all of those safeguards all of the time. So many of these deployments that are on-premise will lack some of those security features. They may have encryption and centralize everything, but may not have the right access controls. They may have access controls, but may not have the encryption levels that they need in order to secure that data. There are a lot of things that can fall through the cracks. So realistically, implementing a high-trust infrastructure with an on-premise model can be a very costly, resource-intensive, infrastructure-intensive process for an organization to go to, and truly can be very difficult to fully secure. And how do we know that? Well, we know that a lot of organizations do this, and over time, and certainly over the last couple of years even, you can point to a number of issues where organizations have set up their own on-premise deployments of their systems and then have had potential compliance violations. In fact, in 2014, we've identified 5 major healthcare providers that have had similar problems, resulting in over $7.5 million in compliance violation settlements. That's a lot of money in addition to the cost of designing and maintaining these on-premise deployments that they already had in place. There are many other examples. So some other recent compliance violations that highlight the potential weaknesses that you may have in an on-premise deployment include the data breaches that are involved. And this is not unique to healthcare. We know every day in the newspaper you read about data breaches of credit cards, of Social Security numbers. Well, in this case, now it's patient information. Okay, so there are these types of situations that even when you are trying to do the best in an on-premise deployment, there is a lot of expertise required to hit all of those safeguards all of the time. Another example is the unencrypted laptops. We know laptops have legs and they tend to walk. And when they do, that information, the data that's in them, can then be accessed by those that are unauthorized. So there are a lot of different situations that can cause this, but certainly in an on-premise deployment, there are a lot of potential for that, as well as there's just a very, very high cost of keeping that security at that level. So what I'd like to do is let Kevin Tai, our Senior Product Specialist, talk a bit about what the private cloud solution looks like with DrivenBI, SRK, and with the AT&T private cloud. Kevin?
Thanks, Kathleen. So we are very fortunate to have partnered with AT&T today to bring you our self-service analysis platform, SRK, on a platform that we can trust. AT&T's private cloud offering gives our customers a secure, trusted, and heavily certified platform that satisfies the demands of today's insurance and healthcare industries. The administrative, physical, and technical safeguards in place help making choosing the private cloud solution a no-brainer. So let's go ahead and take a look into a healthcare use case. In this scenario, a healthcare district wants to perform a profitability analysis across their different service lines. Whether it is for the ER, observation, or lab, they would like to make sure that they are being profitable throughout their district. Before finding SRK, the client had looked into other public cloud platforms. However, the problem was that they were not HIPAA compliant and didn't provide enough data security. Also, current on-premise solutions proved to be very costly and full of risk. With SRK, it provided the client a flexible and secure platform that was high trust, including HIPAA, PCI, and ISO 27001 certifications. So security. AT&T's private cloud is built to comply with industry standards SSAE 16, PCI, and ISO 27001, High Trust, and Sarbanes-Oxley. It is also protected by layers of security controls and managed by AT&T security experts. Rest assured, your data, whether it be financial, patient, or service, will be safe, secure, and accessible 24/7. Here is a side-by-side comparison of SRK in the public cloud and SRK on AT&T's private cloud. The public cloud offering is multi-tenant, as you see on the left-hand side, whereas the private cloud offering offers your own dedicated private infrastructure and has enhanced security and regulation compliancy. AT&T also offers flexible shaping options such as MPLS, VPN, firewall, server storage, and more. So what is SRK? SRK is the next generation of cloud-based analysis. It truly puts the power in the business user's hands. Today, most businesses still do their analysis on spreadsheets. However, if further reports and dashboards are needed, companies must rely heavily on an IT department, and these requests could take days, even weeks. Now, SRK allows users to create the reports and dashboards all in real time and all without IT-centric components such as ETL, data warehouse, or OLAP. And most importantly, there's absolutely no programming involved. SRK offers extreme ease of use, consistency of results, and company-wide collaboration. Now, together with AT&T, we can provide SRK in a secure, trusted, and fully regulated environment. Why DrivenBI and AT&T? You get the benefits of a brand that you know and trust with AT&T and the support and guidance from DrivenBI for your self-service analysis. Access to a fully integrated cloud solution backed by a trusted brand, all at a highly competitive price. And also, the product is backed by a team of over 150 AT&T employees supporting DrivenBI and its customers. Whether you are big or small, DrivenBI and AT&T provide a compliant and secure platform for all your critical data. And finally, cloud solutions can be quickly ordered, priced, and up and running before you even know it. So basically, no spreadsheets, no programming, no data warehouse, and simply no problems. I want to now take the time to introduce Ray Jager, AT&T's Regional Director of Cloud Services, to talk a bit about AT&T's private cloud. Ray?
Thanks, Kevin. AT&T has been providing managed hosting services for over 13 years. That includes simply colocation services managed through the OS, managed through the database server, managed through the middle tier, as well as application support, as well as our cloud services. So with our partnership with DrivenBI, though, we provide a private cloud platform for SRK to run on. This allows DrivenBI's team to focus specifically on their core skills and not have to really concern themselves beyond our design with the infrastructure layer. So when you look at what we're actually bringing to the table, we provide 3 tiers of services for DrivenBI and SRK to run on top of. That's going to be at the network tier, the compute tier or the server tier, as well as at the storage tier. So at the compute layer, that's really where private cloud, and that term itself gets bantered about quite a bit in the industry, but at its core, private cloud means running a hypervisor of some type on a dedicated device as well as a dedicated hypervisor. So that's the piece that the terminology private cloud specifically works to. And then when you look at all the other options that are surrounded by that, you've got the network tier where we provide the firewalls, the routers, the switches, the load balancers. Those are options that we can provide either at a multi-tenant layer, meaning multiple customers running on it, or if you feel more comfortable, we can provide that at a dedicated layer. Same is true with our storage. The storage can be provided as a dedicated platform, or it can be provided as a multi-tenant platform. And then when you look at your connectivity options into the cloud, this infrastructure resides in a data center for AT&T, but we provide managed services. So this is not in a CO or a POP, which is a telecommunications data center that you might be running networks through only. This is a data center that's designed from the ground up to be managed and hosted services. And then it sits on our AT&T IP backbone. So that gives you options as far as network connectivity as well. So if we go to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about the storage layer itself. When you look at our storage layer, we give you the option. Our primary storage is going to be running on our EMC storage device. That is, as a default, that's a multi-tenant platform. So while it's secured, it is a multi-tenant platform. So you've got other customers residing on that same storage device. Some customers you may have concerns with that you want to dedicate it. We absolutely can provide a dedicated storage option as well. And then for that storage, we provide multiple layers and services for recovery. Our operational recovery, if you will, for our primary storage allows for recovery at the file layer locally. So we're storing in the data center itself a copy of that file so that you can recover it from an operational standpoint, meaning I need a file restore from yesterday, from 2 weeks ago. I'm not recovering from a full data center loss. And then we've got a disaster recovery where if you've got really critical applications and you're concerned even at the layer of, oh my gosh, what if AT&T lost that full data center? We have disaster recovery solutions for primary storage where we can replicate that data as well as the application, the SRK application, into another location as well. So we provide multiple layers for that storage service. And then if we take a look at the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about our tape backup. So not only can we provide on-site replication, we can also take our tape backup off-site. So this is where we're going to be providing incremental backups possibly for your dailies, for your weeklies, meaning you don't have to do a full data restore or data store backup. We also can do full backups for weekly as monthly, and in fact, for that matter, we can even do full daily backups. It's up to you. And then we'll keep tapes on site, and it's up to you as a choice whether you want, all of them on site, you want some of them off site. Typically, you'll see a deployment where you've got incrementals on site, weeklies off site, weekly full off site, as well as monthly full off site. But those are options that are available to you. Then if we take a look at the next slide, when you look at our overall services, we ensure reliability across those three layers. Those layers being the compute layer, the storage layer, and the network layer. So at the compute layer, beyond just the failover that we provide with redundant servers, redundant blades, you've got at the heart of this system, you've got VMware running, and that's the hypervisor that we provide and run the services on. VMware has a standard offering really built into the service, and that's vMotion. vMotion is a service that ensures that if you've got an image running on a server on a blade and that physical device starts to falter, VM has, if you will, agents running on all those servers looking for tips, if you will. That's not a technical term, but tips, if you will, where the server is starting to falter. So if the server normally is returning results, within a given range of time, or if they're looking for health checks that aren't coming back on that server, VMware's vMotion will automatically move that to another physical device so that you're not losing that application. Then the storage that we fully manage, again, this is a fully managed infrastructure, so SRK's team does not have to worry about this, nor do you. But our storage is a fully managed application by AT&T, and I did touch on a little bit on the earlier slide about the failover storage elements. And then the network itself is delivered over redundant handoffs into the data center. And then the network itself has SLAs wrapped around whether you've got a private network, whether you're running internet with a VPN IPsec tunnel or not. So if we take a look at the next slide, this is really a summary slide for what we provide. We'll move to the next slide where we have a summary on our private cloud. And so when you look at our private cloud, you might say, so what's really the value here? Why isn't DrivenBI going out and building their own infrastructure, putting in their own data center? And really, at a word, it's difficult to do. You know, if you want to go out and build your own data center from the ground up, that means you really need to understand, you know, just at the infrastructure, you need to understand generators, you need to understand backups, you need to understand network connectivity, you need to understand power. So at the data center level, you know, we provide data centers that are designed from the ground up. And that's when you look at the layers that we've got depicted on this slide. We're kind of like the onion working our way in. So at the physical security layer for the data center itself, these are data centers that are monitored 24/7, every day of the year. These are data centers that go through a number of certifications. We have cameras throughout the facility. Those cameras, videos are stored on site for a number of months. So background checks for our people. So these are very resilient data centers, very robust. So then, you know, then really when you look at all the other layers of the services that we provide, we are providing a highly secure solution for DrivenBI to run SRK that really would be very difficult in a cost-effective and timely manner for them to provide. And this allows them to free up their resources and their staff to focus on their applications and services that they would deliver to you. So, and that is going to include network security. There's an overall network security built into our network infrastructure. So when you connect through AT&T private network, or you're coming in over the internet using IPsec tunnel, there's an inherent service layer that is built into our network. And then when you move to the next layer, we've got managed services within the data center for DDoS defense, intrusion detection, intrusion prevention, firewall services. Those are all services that are built into this portfolio. And then when you look at the infrastructure services at security itself, everything that's inherent within the security of VMware as a hypervisor is all brought to bear, because that's the hypervisor we use. It is the 90% market share with VMware today, and so that's why we base it on that. We believe they're going to continue to be the leader in the market, and with their security and services and capabilities, we've chosen them to be the partner that we use to provide the hypervisor. So hopefully this brief overview gives you a good feeling that the partnership that DrivenBI has chosen to make with AT&T is a good one, a very robust one, a very secure one.
Thank you, Ray, and also thank you, Kevin, for giving us a little bit more background on SRK. So the next step is really starting that conversation about what the requirements are that you have in your organization. These are just a few of the sample questions of things that we talk about in that process. In putting together a private cloud solution with AT&T and DrivenBI, it will be a customized solution. So those questions are really about how are you using the application, how is your organization using it, who's using it, the processes around that, how do people access your environment, how do you want them to access this private cloud environment, obviously addressing redundancy and failover as well. So some sample questions about some of the things that you would want to think about in that process, and we would be able to help you basically get from, you know, the simple server storage requirements to how this high trust environment is really going to provide the benefit for your organization. So at this point, we have Jean Sue from our product specialist team who's been monitoring and collecting those questions. And so I'm going to ask, are there any questions for Ray from AT&T or Kevin, our senior product specialist, or myself at this time?
Thank you, Kathleen. And good news is, yes, we have received a number of questions from the audience. So let me go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Question number 1. What does a typical sales cycle look like if we go for private cloud as opposed to the public cloud? Normally, how long would it take to have AT&T private cloud set up and have SRK running on top of it?
Good question. Good question. So typically what happens is once a customer has gone through this requirements gathering with us, we'll be able to better understand how best to customize that for them. And so I would say that typically and Ray help out here, probably about 4 to 6 weeks or possibly less, depending on what those requirements are. And we can take a customer through that process, all the different options that are available, and come up with a good basic package for them. It also is, you know, something that can be changed over time. So to start out simply with what they believe their initial requirements are, it's very easy to add to that over time or modify that over time as their needs change.
Thank you, Kathleen. Question number 2. Does it require any technical expertise on our side in order to use SRK in the AT&T private cloud? Or can we still use SRK the same way as the public cloud?
So no, everything is set up by a team of experts at AT&T and DrivenBI. We'll configure the system based on your requirements and have it running up in no time. It is no different than our public cloud offering.
And as Kevin told us before, there's no programming involved in SRK.
Thank you, Kevin and Kathleen. Question number 3. It seems that AT&T private cloud provides lots of configurable items, VPN, firewall, storage, etc. Are there any packaged private cloud options that we can pick from and thereby save the effort of coming up with our own configuration?
Another good question. I mentioned earlier about there's a lot of customization that can be done. But one of the things that we were very excited in working with AT&T in this partnership is that they've actually created a very easy-to-use online provisioning system for us to work with our customers, where we basically can walk through very quickly and pick out, you know, what the options are that they are going to want to use in what I would think of as kind of a basic package. Ray, maybe you can share with us solution. What does a typical basic package look like?
Sure. Our baseline service for our private cloud would be a dedicated physical server, multi-tenant on the network components, meaning the firewall, the switch, load balancer, router, and then on the storage, multi-tenant as well. So, and then network, you know, that's either running the internet, and having an IPsec tunnel over that internet connection, or if you've got a private network with another vendor, because we are not locked in the only AT&T private network. We can bring in an outside network as well. But the baseline configuration that you would have would be, if you look at those 3 different layers, if you will, would be multi-tenant storage, multi-tenant the network layer, and the physical server, the compute layer, if you will, the blades, those are always going to be dedicated. And really that's what defines a private cloud, is that you've got a dedicated infrastructure at the compute level.
Great.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Ray. Question number 4. Could you speak in more detail about what self-service analysis means with respect to the SRK platform?
Let me go ahead and take that one, Kathleen. So self-service analysis means that the business users can create their own reports and dashboards all on their own, and all through point and click with absolutely no programming, no data warehouse, no ETL, no OAuth. So basically, we are putting the power in their hands, and we greatly reduce their reliance on their IT departments. It's important to know that anyone with a basic understanding of how to use Excel will have no trouble using the SRK platform.
All right, thank you, Kevin. And fortunately, this is all the time we have for questions. We'll follow up with any outstanding questions over email. And if you do have any extra questions, just please email us at info@drivenbi.com, and we will get back to you very, very shortly. So again, Thank you very much. Kathleen?
Wonderful. Thank you, Gene. And thank you, Kevin and Ray, for presenting today. Again, the video will be on our website later today. Thank you, our audience, participating in this webinar. We are very excited about what we can offer. We would love the opportunity to work with you. If you would like to learn more about the AT&T DrivenBI solution, please contact us at info@drivenbi.com. You can email us at that address. We'd be happy to spend time with you in looking at your requirements and helping you find the best solution for those requirements. Thank you. We look forward to helping you transform your business today.